as you progress in your Amazon career, you will start to employ people to come and work alongside you in your Amazon business. And as soon as you start doing that, you're going to discover that people are emotional. So, in this video, I'm going to show you the main emotional issues that come up for people and how to handle them when they come up for you in your team. Now, if you like this kind of video where I'm showing you how to build your Amazon business right here in Australia, be sure to give this video a like, and that way I will know that you want more like this. And also, if you want to, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I post content like this each and every day, all about teaching you how to make money on Amazon. If you've got a question for me, post in the comments below and I'll be sure to get that for you too. All right, let's get into it. There you go. So you should be looking at a picture of our new office in the Philippines, yes? Yes. Thank you so much, Cara, for helping out. All right, so let's talk about emotions. So here's the question I got asked. Neil, now that you're managing people, what are some management tips that you have for managing people really well? So I'm going to get your feedback on this, okay? So this is some things that I have personally noticed, but I am very, very aware I do not have all the answers for managing people and really managing people's emotions. I definitely do not have all the answers for this, but I have certainly learned some things on the way. And I will start by saying this. So this is a picture of our new office in the Philippines. That's the lovely Orvi, who's been with me now for 5 years. Holy shit. And some of the new team that we have. I have between 50 and 52, depending on the month, people that work for me either full-time or part-time within the business and the businesses that I do. So I've got a few people, and what I've come to realize is that as much as it's awesome working from home, when you are managing people, actually, you really need to be in an office. And that is, I think, fairly controversial given what's going on. But I've come to realize that certainly at least a hybrid version of it is where you want to have. So if you've got employees, you need to figure out a way of managing their emotions on a day-to-day basis. And by far, the easiest way of doing that is by being in the room with them. Now, and I know that goes against everything that's out there at the minute, because there's loads of people that don't want to be in their offices and loads of people fighting against companies like Microsoft insisting that people come into their office. But as an employer with quite a few people on my team, I really get it. I really understand why you would want to do that. There's a lot of advantages, and it all comes down to this idea that people are emotional creatures. As humans, we're emotional creatures, okay? So I thought it'd be kind of cool to go through some of that. The first one is anytime, and I had this on Thursday with one of my team, where I was talking about something with them and I was critiquing something that they'd done for me. And they really friggin' like crazily overreacted, much more so than they ordinarily would. And it was pandemonium, you know. They were basically having a meltdown. They got really angry, and then they got really sad, and they were crying, and it was pretty crazy. So what do you think normally is behind somebody overreacting to something? What do you reckon is normally behind that? Fear of losing control, very, very good one, absolutely. So there could absolutely be some quasi-emotional trauma from something happening in the past. That thing, what is called transference, and it's when we bring shit from our past to bear upon a current situation. So the current situation doesn't just get the emotional content of that situation, it also gets all the other stuff brought to bear upon it, and that causes overreaction. Anything else? Yeah, could be that too. Could be that too. So that I could have kind of inadvertently stumbled upon something that happened for them, and they were either guilty of it or ashamed about it or something like that. So it could be that as well. And I've also discovered as well that it can be something really kind of small, like they could have had an argument with their spouse that day, or they didn't sleep very well. Like it can be quite minor things as well. So you've got your emotional baggage that we all bring into a current situation, into any given situation. But it can also be small things like they didn't sleep enough, they had an argument, little things like that as well can cause people to overreact. So what I do in those situations is I let people download. That's what I do. I let them download. I let them work through that emotion. I'm not trying to stop them having that kind of crazy session. I let them work through it, and then I want to find out what's going on for them. You overreacted. That's not like you. Did you sleep very well? Have you eaten properly? That sort of thing. Okay, before I kind of delve into any pre-existing trauma that could have happened. So that's cool to know. Anxiety. So anytime anxiety kind of shows itself in two ways I have discovered, and typically it can show itself in the form of procrastination, to not wanting to do something, and that's a very, very interesting one. Anxiety is typically about something that somebody is worried about happening in the future. So you can't be anxious about something that's happened in the past, it's very difficult to be anxious about something that's happening right now. It's typically something that you perceive to be going to happen to you in the future. Okay, so, and that shows up in a few different ways in the workplace, I found, but specifically with regards to people procrastinating over a task, it's usually because there's some fear and uncertainty about the task, and it could be that they are worried about completing the task and then doing it wrong, and then they'll feel shame and things like that. Could be that. So that's one thing I have really, really noticed within my Filipino team. Their culture is extremely respectful of their what they perceive as their bosses. Okay, and the way that expresses itself is they don't want to they don't want to talk up. They don't want to, stand out. They don't want to kind of say something within the group. So they will, instead of saying they don't know how to do something, they will just go and blindly try and either figure it out themselves, Google is their friend, or they won't do it at all. And then you'll come back and say, hey, how's that thing going that I got you to do? I haven't done it yet. I didn't know what to do. And so rather than coming to you and saying, hey, you haven't explained that very well, I just don't get it for whatever reason, they won't do that. They just won't do it at all. And then you'll follow up and it's just not done. So that's very interesting. And that also as well, Hayden, that uncertainty, that fear about the future, about what's going to happen, you're right, that comes down to them not having the full picture. So people are often anxious when they don't have the full picture about something. And notice that use of language as well. So what we do to compensate for that is any time that we are wanting to train a new member of staff or train on something new, we have a system whereby I will shoot a video of myself doing the thing, and I'll just kind of right from the very beginning, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, go through the entire process of getting that done. And then we take that video and we give it to one of my team members, and it's turned into a system, like a step-by-step. Okay, start at this URL. When you get there, do this. Here's where you log in. Here's your LastPass details to log into that. Like, we just lay it out in as much detail as possible. And since we started doing that, we haven't experience that same level of anxiety that people have had about starting something. And of course, it's also good practice to do that in your business as well. So criticism. So one of my kind of sub managers was very, very critical of the people in their team. And so the people in their team came to me, like usurped the management, and just kind of said, hey, look, we did a 360-degree look at this particular manager. It wasn't working. They were super, super critical. And so I went in and chatted to them, And what I've discovered about people that are hypercritical of other people, typically that's based upon shame. So something in their past that they are ashamed of, and they bring that to bear and kind of say, well, you're doing that thing, and it's that projecting out rather than the ego wanting to be critical of themselves. They project out onto other people around them. Okay, so if you find that within your team, that's a very, very more interesting thing to come across. I couldn't end up keeping that person, as it happens, but we did find that if they're hypercritical, it's coming from shame. That's where it's coming from. Okay, so that was something else. And the other one I've got as well is we had somebody in our team who all the time would be like unrequested advice, like they wouldn't be kind of doing it, and this was peers within the group, and all the time unrequested advice, unrequested advice, unrequested advice. And so I have come to realize that what that is, it's regret in disguise. So they see you just about to do a thing that they have done in the past, and they are regretful of that thing, and so they don't want you to repeat that thing and get that pain that they perceive they've got, and so they give that advice all the time. So if you see somebody being just constantly giving unsolicited advice, just know that's based on regret in their past as well. And it's because of those sort of things, I'm going to get some more insights from you guys too, but it's because of those sort of things that I think that a hybrid working, whereby you have people in your office so you can able to interact with them and see these things happening, is a really important thing to do. So whilst I am like the virtual entrepreneur, I've come to realize it's actually important to get with people as well and being able to manage them and coach them. Really, that's what you wanted to do. Coach them in the moment as things coming up for them, whether that's a learning strategy or something they're working on. I believe that's a better way. We've never ever talked about this, so it's awesome we're talking about it and kind of bringing it up to the table. And this is something, as entrepreneurs, your team, how you manage your team, how you employ the right people for your team, it's really make or break for your team, like super make or break. And one thing I've discovered is that it is better to hire very slowly and fire very quickly. So as soon as you get the first inkling that something's not working, you've got to get those people out of there. And I love people, and I'm a big softie, and so that was a real kind of thing that I had to toughen up about and get better at. But I have gotten better at it, and now I'm like, okay, well, it's important. We've got to get the right person for the job. Clearly, we messed up when we hired that person. We didn't get it right. Let's get them out. Let's let them move on to something what they're going to enjoy more, and we can focus on getting somebody who's much, much better for that. We're just in the process of hiring somebody which is basically like a statistical analysis of different marketing that we do. So to look at the data that we get back from doing all the different marketing that we do for all these different businesses, create reports out of it, and then turn those reports into usable, actionable data that we can then use to make marketing-based, data-based decisions about the business. Well, that's something we've never hired before. So we're kind of like having to go deep into what does that actually mean? What sort of personality does that suit? And it will not suit a star. It will suit somebody, who's like almost like a bookkeeper, but they're like a psychologist as well. So that for me is interesting to go through that, but that's something that I've really had to spend a lot of time educating myself about and learning more about. Because my background from the kitchen, you got boys into the kitchen, typically boys, you got boys into the kitchen, you kicked their ass, and you got the work done. That's kind of that's what I got brought up in. That's what I started doing. And you got to do different things when you're in a kitchen. You can't be like Gordon Ramsay all the time, you know what I mean? People tend to leave you. I looked at all the chefs, and I see this now with tradespeople. I looked at all the chefs in the kitchen that I was working in, and when they got to 35, 40, you really saw it. I see this with tradies as well. You really see it in people. They don't want to do it anymore, but they don't know how to stop doing the thing. They feel that they're too old to make a change. And it's scary as fuck to make a change. It truly is. So I really am very, very empathetic when people come to me and they want to leave their career and start doing something new. I totally know where they've been because I've been there too. I've been there too. I was a cook. That's what I did. And then I was like, I've got to stop doing this. So yeah, I find it massively courageous, like hugely courageous when somebody comes to me and they put their trust in me. I'm getting all emotional. But when they put their trust in me to help them make a change, man, oh man, that's a fucking privilege for me. It really is. And I don't take it lightly. That was a video from my regular Monday night Q&A session with the members of the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs. We are the fastest growing e-commerce community right here in Australia. Over 2,600 members from Australia and some other countries as well. We let some other folks in with sales of over $50 million on Amazon this year alone. If you'd like to find out more about what we do and indeed come and join us so you can learn too, then get yourself off to www.aussieonlineentrepreneurs.com.au. The link is in the description and I'll see you on the inside.